1500 metres, but a good class field. Here's the full lineup. Lynn McDougall making a nice comeback this year from Glasgow. Chris Whittingham, who's been in splendid form in the road races. Suzanne Morley, Bridget Smith, last year's UK champion. Zola Budd and Wendy Sly. Yvonne Murray, who again has been performing so outstandingly on the roads. Gillian Dainty of Birchfield, again the winner of the overall Gamers Road Race Series. And they are the leading 8 of the 16-woman lineup. And with me now in the commentary box, fresh, if that's the word, from her 800-metre races, Chris Boxer, who will no doubt be looking at this race particularly interested, because Chris, I think this is the distance that you're looking for the Commonwealth Games again.
Yes, I think it's a good job after my poor performance at the 800 today, but no, it would be an interesting race. Obviously Zola was running fantastically this winter, so it'd be interesting to see if she's still in such sharp form. Obviously it's early season, so nobody's really quite sure how well she's going to go, but I think she's going to be pretty impressive today.
Obviously the wind is a factor here. You presumably found it tough going down that back straight twice, and they of course have got to contend 4 times in this race.
Yes, I decided not to front run because of the wind. I was going to hopefully tap on the shoulder of the leader, but got boxed in, and that's something you've got to be very careful with. And with 16 in the race, you've either just got to go to the front and try and make it hard for everybody, or you've got to take a risk, you know, and hope that you can get in a good position.
Well, Zola always, nearly always, of course, is a front runner. Do you expect her to go out on her own as she usually does and see who can stay with her?
It depends. I think she ran quite a good 800 last week. She might let the first lap sort of take its course and run wide to keep out of trouble. She's done that before. But I think she definitely wouldn't be letting it be a very, very slow race.
Well, if you were Wendy Sly, or indeed any of the other leading contenders, how would you be inclined to race tactically against Zola?
Well, it's always tempting to just sit on Zola because she takes the pace. But I've done that once or twice, and she's so good at the end. She doesn't have what you call a real kick, but she just keeps going and going. So I think sometimes you think, oh, I'll just sit behind her, but I wonder really whether to get in front of her may be a good idea. And Wendy practiced stronger at endurance, so it'd be interesting to see if anybody does do that.
So there she is then, lining up, Zola Budd next to Wendy Sly. Zola, who won the 3,000 metres women's title last year, now stepping back to the 1,500 metres. Bridget Smythe, the 18-year-old from Phoenix, on her left, Wendy Sly on her right. And really 16, I think, is too many. They cancelled the heats last night on the basis of not having enough runners. I think it looks as if it really would have been best to have had heats then.
Well, poor old Bridget Smythe fell over at the UK Championships, and there was only 14 there. I think they feel that just to run 8 for 2 heats, just to knock out a couple, does seem a bit silly. But then again, at such a crucial race, perhaps 16 is too many.
So they're on their marks. Will Zola Budd spring straight to the lead? Well, a little bit of tension there, a little bit of nervousness.
Yes, at least there's a straight, so that they've got a straight to get themselves sorted out. But that first bend is going to be awful.
So underway then in the women's 1500 metres, and everyone just making sure that they stay out of trouble, and it seems to have got off to an incident-free start. Number 32, Chris Whittingham on the inside, number 22, Suzanne Morley in the red, and 27, Bridget Smith, with Zola Budd just tucked in behind, and Wendy Sly now back in 6th place, keeping out of trouble. So certainly they've negotiated the opening few metres without any incident. Chris Whittingham, number 32, so it isn't Zola Budd staying up for the lead, and as you suggested before, Chris, I think she's happy, is she, to stay back? Well, she's coming up on the outside, staying wide, but is she going to go into the lead now?
I think probably. I think she probably feels that she's in less trouble. Wendy's following her, and this is a fast pace. They've gone through first 300 in 47 seconds. It's very fast.
Yes, having stayed clear of trouble. Here she goes, Zola Budd, well clear now, and really straying out. Already opened up some 40 metres to the back of the field, and that, I think, just gives some indication of how fast she's going, and indeed a very fast opening lap, 62, 67.
That's incredible in windy conditions, especially as she had to run wide. She's very good at getting into oxygen debt early. She can go off fast and seem to keep going. And I think what she's hoping is to make it so hard for everybody else that they have to run into the wind as well.
Looks hard work there too for Wendy Sly in second place, and of course she's had her injury problems. She won a double at 800 and 1500 the Middlesex Championships this year, but hasn't had too many outings yet at this sort of class and this sort of pace.
No, if you get into oxygen depth, the lactic acid just builds up in your legs, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think Zola's just literally wanting to run the legs off everybody.
She certainly is, and really only Wendy Sly, and even Wendy with difficulty holding on to her. There's now about 10 metres gap to Yvonne Murray, who's now past Chris Whittingham to go into third place, with Sue Morley in fifth. Yvonne Murray, in fact, just closing that gap there a little bit on those two leaders. She hung back. We didn't see her in the early pace, but she's working hard now to try to catch to Wendy Sly. 2 minutes 7.9 at 800 metres, so it stays very fast.
Yes, this is under 4 minute pace for 1500, which at this time of the season is incredible. This lap will be crucial. Zola will really make it hard on this third lap, because if she eases back and people start to catch up with her, they can sit on her with the wind.
That's a crucial time, though, for Wendy Sly, because there's 10 metres now. Zola Budd is well clear, and Yvonne Murray tracking Wendy Sly, and it must be very discouraging to see that gap opening up.
Yes, Wendy doesn't look to be running very smoothly. She's had a problem with a bad toe, and as you say, if Yvonne catches her, then it's going to be hard for her to pick herself up again on the last lap.
Zola maintaining tremendous warmth. She's really, sprinting down this home straight. She's obviously in magnificent shape as she goes through the bell in 2:56.6. And if she can keep this up, she might well get close to 4 minutes. The British record stands at Commonwealth record 3:59.96. The championship best by Chris Benning of 4:07.27 seems sure to go.
3 minutes.
Magnificent run by Zola. Now this is the crucial time for her, but she's maintaining her long stride into the wind.
Yes, there's nothing now that's going to stop her. This is fantastic running. It must be very disheartening for everybody else just to see her. She just goes away and doesn't seem to get tired.
20 metres lead now Zola Budd has, perhaps stretching to 30 on Wendy Sly, who has a couple of metres over Yvonne Murray, and Wendy Sly hanging in well, but for Zola Budd in magnificent form. What a truly wonderful athlete she is, beating a classy field, strung out all round the track as she comes into the home straight, and her only target now is the clock as it clocks up towards the 4 minutes area. Magnificent running from Zola Budd to take the Women's 3A's title. It's going to be just outside 4 minutes. It's going to be a smashing championship best, though. 4 minutes 1.94. The fastest in the world this year. Wendy Sly has had to give best, and Chris Whittingham finishes very fast with Yvonne Murray. The two Scottish women in second and third place. Wendy Sly looking dejected in fourth, and Suzanne Morley in fifth. But Zola Budd stamped the real class of true world-class authority in this race. Congratulated there by Yvonne Murray. Chris, that was a magnificent demonstration.
To be honest, I'm sure a lot of people won't realise how incredible this is. At this time of year, with that wind out there, I reckon she'd run about 3:58 if it hadn't been windy. And to do that in early June, it just makes you wonder what she's going to do later on. She's just amazing.
Yes, I think I've almost never seen her run better. I mean, she's run slightly faster in later on in the season, in the European season. But as you say, at this sort of early season pace, it's going to be tremendous running from her later in this year to shore. Running again on her bare feet, unaffected by the windy conditions, it seems.
And I think we ought to remember that 1500 isn't her strongest event. So what's she going to do over 3,000 and 5,000? It just makes you wonder. She's a very smooth runner, very, very economical. She doesn't seem to waste any effort.
Well, tremendous effort for Zola Budd, and I think it's just wonderful to think of what she's going to do later on in the year. A little disappointing for Wendy Sly. She tried really to go with her, but in the end had to give best, and the two Scottish girls who ran at a slightly slower pace, Murray and Whittingham, got second and third places. So that was a marvellous conclusion to the Women's 3A's Championships.